United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sherry, would you call the roll, please?
Colossus,
Here.
Patton,
Here.
Thompson,
Here. Okay, moving on our agenda, so item number 4, approval of the agenda. I'll entertain motions for its approval, please.
I would like to remove number 8 from the agenda today.
Okay. So would you make a motion just to amend the agenda by removing that, please?
I would so move to amend the agenda by removing item number 8.
Mr. Chairman, I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to amend the agenda. The change is to remove item number 8. Any further discussion, comment, or questions?
Should we name that item? Is it just?
Okay, item number 8 is adopting a resolution for the abatement of real estate taxes at 115 First Avenue Street in Ferguson. Okay, just to make it perfect. Okay, if there's no further comments, questions, roll call vote, please.
Colossus,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes. The agenda is approved as amended. Item number 5 on our agenda this morning, we have one service award. It's a 20-year award for Demoris Dean at the Sheriff's Office, the Patrol Deputy. Sheriff Phillips, are you on with us this morning?
Maybe.
He's not.
Okay,
Nope, not yet.
well, Demo has been with us
You're
for
fine.
20 years. Very good individual. I've had the pleasure of working with him several times. Wish him all the best and continued service to Marshall County. Demo, congratulations and thank you. Moving on in our agenda this morning is the consent agenda. Approve the minutes of the regular session of September 13th, 2022. Approve the special session minutes of September 20th, 2022. Approving the claims as audited and authorize the county and auditor and recorder to issue payment of the same. The listings of claims paid at this meeting and all claims paid for the current month will be published as part of the first meeting of the following month. We'll be filing the district clerk court report for August 2022 general supplemental fund surcharge of $237.32. And we have one manure management plan for PAG LC ID number 59611 at 1699 148th Street, Clemens. No changes were made. This is the end of the consent agenda, and I will accept motions for its approval.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the consent agenda as read.
And I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Colossus,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes. Item number 7 this morning is to open the public hearing. This is for a decrease in appropriations for fiscal year 22-23, discussion and possible action. I'll entertain motions on opening the public hearing.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion then to open the public hearings at 9:11.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to open the public hearing at 9:11. Any further comments, questions, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Colossus,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes, public hearing is open. At the public hearing, any resident may present objections or arguments in favor of any part of the decrease in appropriations in the current 2022-2023 budget. Nan, did we receive any written?
No, there's
Comments?
no written.
Okay. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 13.
Plus
Steve,
3.
Steve, and plus 3. We have a
Not
total of
50.
16 individuals attending the public hearing. Of the 16 individuals attending the public hearing, does anybody wish to present any oral comments? Okay, we have no oral comments. That being said, do you have any comments?
I will just share that this is really just a reappropriation of when we did our budget originally. We thought we would be further in the radio project than we actually were. So those monies were in last year's budget and now they're being spent this year. So it's a sliding. We're using the ARPA funds as the offset because we can't obviously increase our budget and get any more money at this point. It's just a shuffling. And the ARPA projects are going to go out into future years. We just have to have that spent by December of 24. And where the sheriff's project is, that gives us plenty of funds to slide.
And do we also have any changes in appropriations for our juvenile detention and our
This is-
non-departmental?
Both, this is juvenile detention and it's for the radio project.
Okay.
So, but that's where we're getting the funding to move it from is from ARPA.
Okay. I would like to take an opportunity to speak to our juvenile detention issues for a moment. Without question, it's getting to be one of the more challenging things we are dealing with. Juvenile detention is up in Eldora. It's literally a prison for children. We are having increased dollar amounts going towards this exponentially. We've got a situation where we have some long-term folks that are there. We had our board meeting last week and I just want to present a little bit of information because I want to put this out as information for our next budget that we're going to have to definitely pay attention and fund it drastically more. When we did our budget for juvenile detention and for Marshall County, based on all our previous year's statistics, the amount that we thought we'd be taking in for revenue for juvenile detention was $79,886. We appropriated $110,000 for Marshall County. So we had a pretty substantial overage factor in there. That being said, when I started this job 12 years ago, most children stayed at juvenile detention for about 3 days. If you had a long-term child, they were there for 10. Just a snapshot of our activity for our case counts of children that were at juvenile detention on 8/31. Marshall County had an individual in there for 93 days for serious misdemeanor for operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated. Another individual that has been there for 87 days, that is an adult waived individual that's in there for sexual abuse 2nd degree. A third individual that is there for serious misdemeanor harassment 2nd degree for 24 days. And a fourth individual that's there for aggravated misdemeanor assault causing injury on a peace officer for 21 days. Now that's far above the average 3-day stay of 12 years ago. And we're getting into a situation where a lot of these kids that are up in juvenile detention are what we're calling super predators. They're adult waived. They have absolutely nothing to lose in this situation. Because you can't separate them, you can't lock them down in their room. They move about freely with the rest of the population and the staff. And they think nothing of hauling off and literally assaulting either another child that's there or another individual that is in our employ at juvenile detention. We just lost a long-term employee that had been with us for 14 years. He is one of the individuals that had been assaulted. He's leaving for another job that's going to pay him 1/3 that was paying. But this is such a high-stressed environment. These folks are just leaving. I don't see this problem changing. So this is just a warning when we do our next budget. This is something I think we should at least double what we put in. I don't see this changing, and I see the folks that are being in the active juvenile count in this juvenile detention center as being extremely increased in the violence. And it's a sign of the times.
David, just for general understanding, the makeup of this, how many counties belong and how many counties actually use this facility?
We have 26 member counties that use this facility. We have 25 affiliate counties. Then we have contract counties, which are counties that don't belong as a member and aren't an affiliate. They all pay different dollar amounts. Marshall County, because we are a member, so we participate in the operation of the center, we pay $150 per day per individual. If you are a contract county, where a lot of these problem children are coming from, is Polk County. If it's an exigent child that is violent, they'll pay $600 per day to have a child in this institution. It's not changing. I mean, I could run down the entire list of the snapshot of the 41 individuals that we had there on 8/31. I'm just looking at Polk County. Here's murder first degree, attempted murder, and robbery first degree.
And these are what age groups?
Those were all adult wave children. So they were tried in adult court, but they can't be in a penal system because they aren't 18. So they're housed in our facility until they age out, and then they go somewhere else.
Is this problem caused by the way the state interprets where these children go? Is there a place they would be better served rather than coming up and being where we're talking here?
We are the spot for them. They can't be in a general jail because they have to have sight sound separation from the adult prisoners.
Yeah.
That being said, we are doing an expansion. So we will have another wing that will house these exigent folks that are adult wave,
Okay.
and they will be separated in their own cells and
So
in their own area.
They can't just wander around among.
They won't.
Someone who's 8 years old.
We don't have any 8-year-old kids there. And in the years I've been on the board there, I think the youngest person we had was 13.
Okay.
But when we get these individuals that are adult waived in the future, they will be in a different section. And this is coming down from some of the things from the federal government. But I just want to let you know, these kids that are up there, these are, you don't want them mixed in a setting where these adult wave people that are there for attempted murder, you don't want them rubbing elbows with a kid that might be there overnight because he joyrided in the neighbor's car and it is awaiting.
How long before the new wing is done then?
We should be up and operational by the end of next month. So it's, but that being said, these situations and these problems, these are not going away.
Well, and I will share that we were about $71,000 behind on bills as of July 1st because of the uptick from when we did our budget stuff. It just seems like it's changed a lot in the last 9 to 12 months.
It has. There's been a definite flip of the switch in the last about 8.5 months, and I don't see this going away. So this is just kind of I'm putting a shot across everybody's bow for the budget. This is something we're going to have to substantially increase for next year. And we have no control over who goes there. These are it's ordered by the court system or the juvenile court system or the probation area. And there's just absolutely nothing you can do to control this portion of the budget other than overfund it and hope you've put in enough. Sorry for the long explanation. I know it's not good news, but it's just the world we live in right now. Does anybody else have any comments on the public hearing for our budget or questions? That being said, I would accept motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I would move we close the public hearing at, do you have your?
9:22.
9:22.
And I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close the public hearing at 9:22. Any further comments, questions, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Slosson,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes,
Thompson,
Yes. That being said, we're moving on to item number 7A, which is to adopt the resolution number 2022-0031, budget decrease in appropriations for 2022-2023. Once again, we had 0 written comments. We have 16 individuals attending.
That changed.
Make it 17 from the last one. Joel just came. 18. 19, 20. Okay. Let the record reflect we're changing that to 20 individuals. And is there any one of those 20 individuals that would like to make oral comments or objections to the public hearing? There being none, I'll entertain motions to adopt this resolution.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-0031, budget decrease in appropriation 2022-2023.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2022-0031, budget decrease in appropriations for 2022-2023. Any further comments, questions, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Slosson,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes,
Thompson,
Yes. Okay.
The district court on 31, is that increase or is that a typo? This is 232 and 323. Next item.
That's the next
Oh, that's the
item.
next item.
Mhm.
Right. The next item is to adopt resolution 2022-0032, reappropriation of funds for the fiscal year 2022-2023. Nan, you want to follow up on this, please?
Okay, this is moving funds from ARPA to cover for the 911 towers. And the district court is the 91,000 for juvenile. So you'll notice the total's still the same, so it's just moving money around so that we can pay bills.
Yes, juvenile detention is, there's 2 entrances to it. District court puts in part of the cost, and then we also cover it in the non-departmental portion of the Board of Supervisors budget.
The 2 numbers were similar enough. I just didn't know.
It does look a little odd.
Yep. Okay. Any further questions on adopting the resolution 2022-0032? If there aren't, I'll entertain motions on its adoption.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to adopt resolution 2022-32, reappropriate, it was tongue tied here, reappropriation of funds for FY 2022 and 2023.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2022-0032, reappropriation of funds for fiscal year 2022-2023. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Slosson,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes,
Thompson,
Yes, motion carries. Item number 8 on this agenda was removed. So we're going to go right to item number 9 in this agenda, which is adopting resolution 2022-0034, approving the assignment of certificates of purchase to the city of Liscom. This has been a tax sale certificate for a parcel. Jarrett, you want to cover this at all?
Yeah, this is just it's been a problem parcel for the city of Liscom for quite some time. Actually we had done this process before on it, and then the owner out of nowhere actually paid it, and now it's delinquent again, and it went to tax sale, and there's delinquent water bills, so it's been an ongoing parcel for quite some time. That's a block that the city will be focusing on, so I recommend the assignment.
Is this going to be the final step in this, or is this going to be a yo-yo and come back
So
again?
then they still have the whole redemption period for the owner to pay.
Okay.
If the owner doesn't pay, then the city will finally get it, but wait and see.
All right.
Was that 3 years then? What,
It's a 3-year period, correct?
Okay. I'll entertain motions on the adoption of this resolution, please.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion. Mr. Chair, I would make a motion then to adopt resolution 2022-0034, approving the assignments of certificates of purchase to the city of Liscom, Iowa.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the adoption of resolution 2022-200034, approving assignments of certificates of purchase to the city of Liscom, Iowa. Any further comments, questions, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Slosson,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes, motion carries. Item number 10 on our agenda this morning is to approve EMC insurance renewal, discussion and possible action. I would imagine we're going to have a considerable amount of discussion on this.
So this policy is effective 10/1. That's our year for our insurance. Listed here, you'll see the worker comp amount. That's normally a July 1 increase, but that is listed there. You'll notice an increase in worker comp up $46,816. That's due to the mod rate that's shown there of us going from 0.72 to 0.88. A few years back, prior to me being here, we were using a different work comp insurer, and our mod rate was nearly 1.5. So you can imagine what premiums we were paying at that time. It's always good to see that mod rate under 1. We just happen to have in our 3-year look back when we had the 0.72, 2 really good years. Now we're sitting with 1 really good year, and that one rolls off next year. So I'm just going to warn you that July of 23, we will see an increase again. So not good news there. We did just get, so there is a slight revision from what was included with the agenda, because we did get the cyber renewal, and that actually went down $2,000. So that was good news. James got our backup situation with our new vendor taken care of in the cloud. That's proceeding nicely, and they just didn't have the numbers yet. Bobby's out of town at some training today, but Michelle is here. So if we do have any specific questions, some of the reasons for the increase is you look at the different line items. The inland marine is actually vehicles and stuff. We obviously don't have boats and things, but it sounds like that's what we have. It's not really contract. It's all of our equipment.
Right.
It's any equipment, like my election equipment, Lucas's
everything's scheduled.
tools and stuff. So it's all of that extra stuff that's not vehicle driving on the highway related. So we had an increase there due to some things we didn't know we had. So getting our lists a little bit cleaner, and we always want to have the list clean if anything happens. to
And we've
anything.
had substantial increases in our building valuations.
Our
also.
building valuations continue to go up. There was also something that we didn't know about. Michelle, do you remember what that was? There was an increase of, secondary roads had an increase in their items from about 4.4 million to 7.1.
Updated schedule.
Yeah, an updated schedule of items. So that's a big number too.
And
But
was that
again,
for our equipment?
Yes.
Okay.
So again, we'd rather have them on there because we want them insured if we
So
think they're
this
insured.
equipment was not on it, or would this equipment is now worth more than it was?
It wasn't on it.
Okay,
So there was a small increase in EDP equipment, which is James's, but I think that is maybe just some changes in equipment plus also appreciation and value there.
a quick question on the mod. That's the same regardless of what company we're with. Is a state set deal?
It's kind of a state set deal. If you do try to change companies, okay, we're at 0.88 now, maybe somebody'd give us 0.87. They'd recalculate slightly different, but you're not gonna gain
It won't
anything.
change much.
You're not gonna gain anything by switching companies.
And that's the multiplier factor.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand.
So,
I just wanted to be sure that.
Bobby did go to bat for us and actually got a couple things decreased, which kind of surprised me actually, but, so that did help us. But the, increase here showing almost $100,000 up. Now, the other piece that you need to be aware of is they've added a rider for deductible. Anything that is wind and hail related, it is changing to 10% of the value of the building. So yes, for the courthouse, that would be
The roof.
the roof.
And that's just for information purposes.
400.
I've seen that same thing in our commercial policies in our business.
It's 1%. Oh, it's 1%. Yes, I'm sorry. I was reading, everything else is $10,000, the 1%, which makes it $445,000. Now they're working on some buy downs to get us down to the 10,000, 25 and 50. So we're kind of waiting on that quote as some additional insurance we can buy. And so that's a waiting game. That'll be an option for us. So the two buildings this affects is the sheriff's office complex. So if there's wind, hail out there, just by the value of the building, it's more than the 10,000. Courthouse and that engineer's office, the value of the building is small enough that the 1%, it'd be a $10,000 deductible. So we'll have those figures at another meeting to see about buying. That would be additional insurance. We are looking, at other options down the road. But at this point, my recommendation is to accept this, especially since it starts Saturday.
Are you seeing some insurance companies, because of the constant wind and derecho and things in the state of Iowa, pulling out of the state?
No, I have not seen that.
Okay.
I think they're just changing their numbers. They're safeguarding
Yeah,
themselves.
this happens.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm hearing it on farm things. I'm hearing it on other commercial properties.
They're getting whacked on the other side when they try to reinsure it.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's the way it's going. So,
Any
Mr.
further, if there's no further questions?
I'll do that.
Okay,
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the insurance renewal from Shoma Madison effective 10/01/22. Authorized chair, vice chair to sign agreements.
I'll second.
okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the insurance renewal from Shoma Madsen Insurance effective 10/1/2022 and authorized chair, vice chair to sign said agreement. Any further comments, questions, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Clausen,
Yes.
Yes,
Thompson,
Yes, motion carries. Okay. Item number 11 on our agenda this morning is a request by Marshall County homeowner selling 2436 Cooper Avenue, State Center, Iowa, 50247. This is discussion and possible action. Todd, you've been working with this and have the most knowledge. Would you please bring everybody up to speed on this?
Sure. Before I get to the invoice, I think we need to do a little bit of history also, Mr. Chairman. So I've asked James if you could give us, when we switched to the new permitting system, the glitches that, if you want to call them glitches, or the issues that we have had with our old, that was in our old permitting system.
Sure, yeah. So as you guys are aware, we had a custom built, we had a lot of custom built software back in the day, and we've been trying to talk zoning into going to a more off-the-shelf product for years. When Todd came on, he was able to help us get that done. Years, I'm not sure how many years before, but years before we had lost our on-site programmer, Stuart, if you guys remember Stuart, who had built the program. He had continued on as a contractor for us to keep the system alive. But he has a full-time job and he was working kind of after hours and in his free time. We talked with the new software company about pulling the old data first. And they had said they prefer to get the program up and running and then bring the old data over later. In the meantime, our cyber insurance company requested that any system that's not actively patched and maintained be turned off, which is a good rule of thumb. So we had to turn off a lot of those older systems, including the old e-permitting system. We've been kind of working with Stuart as time allows, but with his schedule and our schedule, it hasn't been meshing up to get the old data transferred yet. So we've got all that old data. It's just kind of islanded right now until he has the time and the ability to get in and migrate it over. He'll export it out of his database, send it over to the new company, and then they'll work to see how much they can bring into their platform.
And this data, this is just for the permitting portion of
I
it,
believe so.
Nothing else?
Probably
Everything that we, yeah, all the permitting.
just the permits.
Yep.
Okay.
Building, septic,
Building, septic, the zoning that we
Yeah.
did.
But just the permit portions,
Can you,
when you're making a application.
yes,
So it's just that paperwork.
that and the maps or any, any paperwork that was associated.
Okay.
Now, I know his database has the index data. He'll have to work with us to try and figure out where the images are, the scanned images.
Mhm.
If there are any, I'm not sure. I think a lot of the drawings were able to be done online, but I'm not sure. I've
Yeah,
never
they
used
were.
the permitting system, so I'm a little fuzzy on how that worked, but yeah, we'll have to figure out what can be brought over to the platform.
And then just so, just another little bit of history. Last year, we did 52 time of transfers, which is when a new house or a house gets sold, they have to inspect the septic. And this year to date, we've done 34. So that's 86 total since we switched over. And we haven't been able to provide the maps. And this particular one is we've had some grumblings, but nobody has issued any complaints. They've been able to find it and do it and get it done. Pardon me. I was told that Corey Frank, who's the head of the private wastewater division at the DNR, said that the county was responsible because we didn't have the maps and should pay for part of the cost. I contacted Corey last Thursday. I asked him, I said, I want clarification because the county is unable to provide a map for a time of transfer. Are we responsible? Or we were told we were responsible for paying part of the costs involved. His response back was, first and foremost, I want for the record that I did not now nor ever would state that to any party. I did and do inform parties and realtors when they contact me that the county is the permitting and responsible county for maintaining the records. He goes, I have not responded to this individual since, although he goes, I believe the phone call that was made to me for technical assistance, I recall informing them to reach out to you for the maps. I pulled up, and I'm sorry, I printed it off this morning and left it on my desk, but I pulled up the time transfer report. In the report, the contractor stated that he had to rip up the yard because he didn't know the length of the laterals. And in the next sentence in the report, it says, I looked in my records and found the size of the tank and the size of the laterals.
Now, this is the contractor. that
This is
said
the
that.
contractor. In In going through, also yesterday I pulled up on our assessor's site an overview of the land. And you can definitely see where the 3 laterals are. They were there. How this contractor who installed the septic originally could not remember where they were or how to find them.
Okay, but let's back up a minute. This is the person that put it in and he
He also did the time
informed
of
you that
transfer.
he knew where they were,
He claimed he didn't know where they were.
but I thought you just said he did.
Well, I found that out today when pulling, we used to do time of transfers personally here. They're now go to the DNR and then they make a decision and then send it to us.
Okay,
Can I speak?
yes.
I'm actually the listing agent for 2436 Cooper Ave. The situation with this time of transfer occurred and with not having the permit from Marshall County is the reason why the time of transfer had to be done like it had to be done.
It has to be
No,
done
just
anyways,
let
man.
me speak. And so in turn, Corey from Iowa DNR stated to both the inspector and to myself as a listing agent that this time of transfer had to be taken like it was never there. And in turn, you can't just stand on the property and just assume where the D box is and where the laterals are. And all he needed was the permit that was not provided to him from the, you even stated in your office to me that you said that this is an IT issue.
Yes.
And with not having that, we could not do it without it being started as if it was never there. So that's where the digging had to occur from the inspector. And so Corey directed the inspector and specifically said, you have to take this time of transfer like it was never there because of the issues of the IT department not getting him what he needed. And so that is the concern. And he had said, Todd had said in his office that, yes, this is the IT department's fault. And that maybe they'll get their crap together. And that's what I'll say, because that's the words he used, is that for them to pay for this, because what we're asking for is half of this 246.20 inspection bill to be paid by the IT departments, because this should not have been on the sellers, which this is one of the sellers right behind me. In turn, you also told me in your office that we did not need to worry about easements.
I don't do easements, ma'am.
I
wouldn't have said
understand that, but you could get us in trouble as a licensed agent and the inspector as a licensee by not handling those issues that had come up in the time of transfer. So by telling us that, to not worry about that as a planning and zoning, ahead of the planning and zoning, so we had to take those other measures. That records were told that they were lost in the derecho first, tornado. Then we were told that they were lost in the derecho, or that the IT department had somebody who left and then passwords were taken and not able to access. And that's why the permit was not being able to be given.
Can we
prior
stop there
to
for a
starting.
second so I have a chance to answer
Well,
some of
no,
this
because
stuff?
I'm stating all that had taken place. And Corey directed myself as a listing agent to have him as the inspector, which is Dean Shoppy, to take this time of transfer like it was never there because of the issues of the IT department not getting him what he needed.
Okay, one, we've had 85 other time transfers. Nobody had to rip up the yard. Corey did not state that in his email to me that he said that. I'm just going by, you're saying he said it. I have an email that says he didn't say that.
Well,
Now,
it doesn't.
he didn't interrupt you when you were speaking. Please afford him the same courtesy.
As far as easements go, that's not my department. I refer other people to that. I don't do easements. Putting your license on the line and Dean's license on, well, the contractor's license on the line, I'm not going to state who he is. It's, like I said, I don't do easements, so that shouldn't even be part of it. Now, I'm going through the invoice. The first four items are all either the backhoe or the labor. Everything after that is stuff that would have had to have been paid for anyways during any time of transfer because it was stuff that needed to be repaired. So all that's up there then is his loader backhoe once, his loader backhoe again, extra man labor once, another extra man labor again. And like I said, I just recommend that we don't pay it because nobody else has had this problem. Having the permit, physically having the permit, when he pulled up his own records and said he saw the length, he knew the length and he knew the size of the tank. Now, this was a gentleman that installed it himself. We're responsible for maintaining the records, which we do. It's just unfortunate that this particular one we don't have available, but we're not responsible for what he did to the yard. There are other contractors. We have 7 other contractors in our county that do time and transfers, and nobody's had to do this. This is somebody I think that's just trying to make, and I never said anything about IT like that, except for that, yes, it is an IT problem.
Yes, you did, and that's what you're.
And
not in the
I
budget.
never told you anything about a tornado.
Ma'am, please don't interrupt him.
I never said anything about a tornado, the derecho, passwords. All I said, I did mention, yes, we had a former employee that wrote the previous program.
Could I see the list there?
Sure.
That didn't come through on our computer.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
You can.
I've got other
yeah,
got
you
a
copies.
can open it
document.
up. Yeah, could you
Yeah,
open
we
it
have a
up?
document. Let's bring it up. So everybody can see this.
Oh, on the agenda.
Yeah.
I got you.
And you also did say that you're just trying to get by with, and to just retire. So that, to me, all those things, it's not, you're head of the planning and zoning department that is required to get the items that were needed. And Corey directed the inspector to do the time of transfer like it was never there, because we were not giving the proper documents and the permit needed to actually take the time of transfer correctly. So technically, out of all those that are done,
Then why didn't
no,
Corey tell
listen to
me
me.
that?
So listen to me. So all that those are done, is anybody, are we the only ones that are standing up for ourselves? And I'm working for the seller because this should not be happening. And they're not standing up for themselves. That's their issue.
You know, Corey did not tell me
He,
that you said that.
no, he
There's-
said that. Yeah, Corey directed him to
Do you
take it
have
like
it
it
in
was
writing
never
from
there.
him?
What's that?
Do you have it in writing from him?
Do I have your words in writing
No,
that
do
you're
you
lying
have-
about? I'm just saying. It's becoming just what you said versus what I said, which is silly. It's not what it's about.
But if
It's
you
about
take
the
a
whole
look-
issue of having to take this time of transfer like it was never there.
But take a
Because of
look,
Marshall County not having what the inspector needed to actually start the job. That's what the issue is.
Let me ask a
All those
question.
other things.
Go ahead,
Can I-
Steve.
Can I speak?
Absolutely.
Make sure I want to make sure it's clear here. We were not able to give, like GPS coordinates for where these laterals were. Can you go into that a little deeper for me so I know what we weren't able to give these folks?
we weren't able to provide either a map or the permit for it.
The permit is huge, and that's what the actual DNR said. Without having that, the inspector had to take this time of transfer like it was never there. And dig it, find the D box and find the laterals, the end to the start. That's what he had to do. He was told to dig, to find it all. You can't just stand above it and just assume, or someone else to say, this is where it is, or him as an inspector, or him as the one to install it years and years ago, to just stand over it and say, this is where it's at.
I guess the
There's
question
no
I've got
assuming.
is this: the same person that dug it up is the person that installed it originally. And you just got done saying that in an email he sent to you, he knew where the stuff was.
No, it's in the DNR report.
Okay. So the
His-
individual that
His
did the
verbiage in the DNR
excavation,
report,
he knew where it was.
yes.
Okay, Todd, what, I'm
That's
looking at this
exactly
here.
right. It
Okay,
was that he knew potentially not exactly the location, but he knew of how many. people
Nobody
down.
can provide you,
And that's where the time of transfer, as the DNR head said, you have to dig to find this. You can't just assume where it's at.
most people one, use a rod and do probing. Two, there isn't, and, James, you can correct me, just,
After
excuse
you
me,
dug
ma'am.
enough.
James, you can correct me if I'm wrong. There isn't a GPS out there without paying thousands and thousands of dollars for it to get you within inches of where you gotta be,
Yeah,
correct?
if you want accurized GPS, otherwise you get.
But nobody,
6 foot.
there isn't a
12 foot, yeah.
county out there that does it that close. These maps are just for guidance to where it should be. And when I was able to pull it up on our assessor site and actually see the trench lines in the grass where they were.
Yeah, but the permit was not provided is the biggest part. That's the plain and simple. It's reality.
Well, we've had 85 other people that did time transfers that disagree with me.
I believe the old permit, for us to provide that as a courtesy, it is not a requirement by the Iowa code. If you've got that information in the Iowa code,
Correct.
that'd be great. It was my understanding from, you spoke with Whitney Hunt in my office.
Correct.
And that was my understanding from her, is that was providing a past one as a courtesy. Obviously, we really want to be able to do that. We've just not been able to get that system back up online. But
No, so that's where it's the IT issue. So we've already
right,
discussed
but
that.
it's a
So-
it's a courtesy, it's not a required. Same contractor doing it should have his records too.
And
If they
most
had a
people,
different contractor, I'd have understood it more.
instead of digging, they'll go out with a probe and probe through the yard to find it, to get them close to where they gotta be. And then they'll dig up what they need to
Correct.
dig up.
That is what was done, but he was told by Corey that it had to be dug to actually find the start and the stop and the B box.
Okay.
Todd, looking at this here, we've got, extra man labor of, $240, $300. That's the only thing I see on here that's extra.
Right.
All the rest of this is always done anyway.
Correct.
We've done it at my farm, we've done it at other places where I've been involved personally. You always have to dig a little bit anyway. You can be off 2 foot and still have to dig and find it.
Correct.
So tell me if I'm wrong. That would be $640 or $540
540.
extra. Otherwise, everything else would have been done anyway.
Correct.
Technically, all the top, which is all the loader and backhoe and the extra labor, that's the first 4 lines are all the extra.
Okay,
So
what
technically-
what I said though, was even if you've got a picture of where it's at, you still have to dig to find it,
Yes.
always.
Yep.
Always. So I'm gonna exclude, in my thinking anyway, the first two, the $200 loader backhoe and the $400 loader backhoe, because I'm gonna think that would have been there if the picture was in his hand when he was digging. Been there, done that. That just happens. You never find it. I shouldn't say never. It could happen, but very seldom will you find what you're talking about here. Even if you do have a picture, it's hard to do that. I would say, if we owe anything, it would only be those 2 things.
And I'm going with, I've got 85 other time transfers. What kind of precedents are we setting? You know, if, let's say the map is off by 3 feet the next time because the GPS was off. Are we now opening up Pandora's box to have somebody charge us for the extra labor?
That's very, very possible. Yes.
And this is, once again, it's not in chapter 69, which is the private wastewater. that we have to, it's our job to maintain the records. But the records are, it's not that for time of transfers, it's not there to, give them exactly where it's at. That's part of the reason why you pay so much money for a time of transfer. They have to dig up part of the yard to find it.
But
Well,
you just got done saying that you have to maintain the record, so not having the permit and causing all these extra issues. That's where
But it went
maybe
to,
that this, just how you said it.
But
that you guys will get your act together.
May
and not
may I
have
interrupt
issues
because
like
you have
this.
been interrupted here too. All these figures from there on down, you're saying should be part of it. That's not, that's not. All of that is done because it needed to be fixed. That's why there's a time of transfer. Then you give the next person 10 years of good work here, hopefully. But to
and how
say,
much of that extra man hours was used to fix the stuff down below?
I would say the majority of it.
Okay.
Bill, would you please put this in the form of a motion? Your thoughts?
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I would move to pay for the extra labor because of a lack of information that we were unable to provide with that only.
Okay, and that extra labor as to this bill comes to $540.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to pay for the extra labor in the amount of $540. Any further discussion, comments, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Lawson,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes. Motion carries. Okay, moving on in our agenda this morning is item number 12, courthouse dedication / open house on November 19th, 2022. This is for discussion and possible action. Dan, I know you and Lucas have been working with our downtown folks
We'll let him
for
start
the
first.
holiday stroll. It's an excellent time to have it. And
Yeah,
also, November 19th is the day that they did the original dedication.
yeah. So November 19th is kind of a special day in the history of the courthouse. It was dedicated November 19th, 1886, originally rededicated 1978 on November 19th. So just the coincidence that our downtown holiday celebration happens on that day is really nice. So we're obviously going to rededicate the courthouse again. But being able to do it on that date, coinciding with another celebration is going to be really nice. A lot of people will be downtown already. So in line with that, we are, the current plan is to do an open house on that day. So the logistics of that are going to be not real easy, but they're gonna take some work, probably some volunteer basis. In the past, and I think in 2016, we did tours on the November 19th date, but they're slow and difficult to go through the whole building in a timely manner. So we thought an open house and just kind of some employees and other whatever interested parties could just kind of be around the building and answer questions. There's going to be a lot of offices moving around, changing places, and having that opportunity to familiarize the public with where just some of the new locations are would be really nice.
And this is also going to be rededicated by the Masonic organization.
That is the current plan,
The
yes.
current plan at 1 PM that day.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, so.
Ironically, it being, when we figured this out, I don't know, February or March, it's like, it falls on the day. Can we do this? So it's,
Really, that wasn't pre-thought.
Not yet. Well, we just made sure it took 4 years so we could do it.
no, we didn't.
Did you say one?
too early. Too soon for that.
Yeah, so the rededication at 1 o'clock, open house from 2 to 8. And
7,
and it's 8, yeah, 2 to 8. It's gonna be a long day.
yeah.
On Saturday. But we will be reaching out to staff and I don't know, maybe the wellness committee or whoever to kind of organize some of the other things that we want to do.
Yeah, we are not going to decorate for Christmas, humbug. We want to get the courthouse done, but I'm hoping we can have some goodies in there and be a little festive, but we're gonna keep it pretty low key.
Would you give the hours for the open house again?
2 to 8.
2 to 8.
The courthouse will not be finished completely to move in state at that point, but we'll be real close. So as long as things, continue on their current path, and there's not a lot of opportunities for surprises at this point. So we're making some really good progress on the inside.
There'll be offices without furniture, that type of thing yet, but
But you said 2 to 8?
2 to
2 to
8.
8, yeah.
Okay.
So rededication from 1 to 2, open house 2 to 8.
Okay.
And depending on the weather, the rededication will be inside or outside, because it could be 70 and it could be 10 below.
Now, we got possible action on here, but I don't see any action from the board that's necessary on this. Other than if you want the formal approval.
Well, would we have to approve a tour?
We haven't up to this
We haven't in
point.
the
No.
past.
The only thing would
Blaze.
be is if we need to approve the courthouse being open, but that doesn't make a lot of sense.
I don't think we have to.
Now, when
you
guys say wellness might provide anything, are you just talking about for the employees that are working that day? Because I think wellness is only available for employees, not for anything.
No, we were looking for volunteers.
Oh, yeah, okay. I misunderstood that, so I wanted to double check. I'm just throwing ideas out there, see what sticks to the wall. Okay. Just wanted to double check since I'm not part of that committee.
People that seem to be willing to volunteer seem to be in that group, so.
Yeah.
But I think other people will be interested in doing so as well, just because everyone's excited to see it and get back in there.
Oh, boy.
and-
Cardboard cutouts of everybody at their positions.
You can work on that.
He's gonna color them in.
All right.
Get started. I'll get you photos.
I don't think we have anything more on this other than wonderful news and good cooperation with everybody, and let's move on in our agenda. Item number 13 is to approve change orders for the courthouse of $65,800. Some of these are storm code and damages, or no damages.
Storm code over, no
Yep.
damages, yep.
You want to go over this before we take any motions?
Yeah, just a quick run through, mainly what we worry about from the county responsibility side is the owner portion and the code portion, since we have settled with our insurance company. Now we do take that code portion and assess that towards our damages, but to keep it clean, we call it out as code here. So the big changes are the judicial branch is putting a recording and microphone speaker system in 2 of the courtrooms. We as the county are providing basically the pathways to get all the wires and stuff there. That's the first line item. We did change some flooring in the storage room. That's the second item. There was a fair amount of plaster repair in the second floor rotunda. There will be some more plaster repairs, when we get up to 4 and 5, that will be a county responsibility. But a good chunk of that is going to a storm responsibility. I changed some items in ceiling grids. That's where that item comes from. And the rest of it is basically just glass. Glazing is glass. So we missed some items in the original bidding for glazing. So really the only thing that wasn't in previous budget or planned for is ceiling grid changes and glazing changes on here. Everything else is within plan and budget.
So the storm and the code update are on the insurance company, and the
Storm is on
owner is
insurance,
us.
code is on us, and damages.
Okay. All right. If there's no further questions or concerns on this, I'll entertain motions on these approval for the change orders.
Yeah, I want to just check here.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be the supervisor's responsibility in the owner column, which is 28,551.
28,851. Yep.
And then also the code, which would be 14,000.
Yes,
Yes.
those two are the county's responsibility.
But the code will be then put on the damages list. We just categorize it as code on here so we can keep track of all those things. It's the way that Dan and I track it.
Okay, now where's the 65,000?
That's
That-
all
that-
those three.
That's
items.
total.
All three
Yeah,
items.
so
Okay.
this is a contract change. So what we're doing is we're changing the total amount of the contract, so that's what the 65,800 is.
But the 65,800 is not our responsibility at all.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
that's what
Yeah,
I
we're
was.
That's
just,
the
we're looking
total
at the
of all the
contract as a
changes.
whole, but we break it up in different sections.
I'm good.
Okay, I'll entertain motions on this item if there's no further questions or comments.
I would make a motion then to approve the change orders in the amount of $65,800.97.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the change orders in the amount of $65,800.97. Are there any further comments, questions, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, motion carries. Item 14 on our agenda today is to approve compliance filing of the actuary report for the Marshall County Employee Health and Dental Plan year ending June 30th, 2022. It's a discussion and possible action item. Nan, you want to bring us up to speed on this?
I'm going to look at Maria for that one.
Okay,
Yeah, this is a report that needs to be filed every year, 90 days after the fiscal year is over. The person that used to do it, he couldn't do it anymore, and I couldn't get a hold of him. So it took me a while to find someone to do this report, and that's why it's being done.
Yeah,
okay,
he was in his 80s. We may have passed our last one.
okay. I understand. I'll entertain motions on this report.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the compliance filing of the state of Iowa 509A certificate of compliance actuary report and receipt of the actuary report for the Marshall County Employee Health and Dental Plan year ending June 30th, 2022, and direct the county auditor and recorder to file with the Iowa Department of Commerce Insurance Division.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the compliance filing report to the state of Iowa. Any further comments, questions, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, motion carries. Item 15 on our agenda this morning is to approve the application deadline for outside agencies requesting county funding for fiscal year 2023. I know Sherry has worked hard on this and has this application available on our website, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
Okay, we haven't done that in the past. So this is an official deadline that we will be putting out there for any of the agencies that are out in the county that have requested any funding from the county, that they have to fill this out, and it needs to be to us by December 1st, 2022. Entertain motions on this item.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion then to approve December 1, 2022 as the application deadline for agencies requesting county funding for fiscal year 2023, 2024.
Mr. Chairman, I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve this deadline date of December 1st, 2022 as the application deadline for agencies requesting county funding for fiscal 2023-2024. Any further comments, questions, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Lawson,
Yes.
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes. Item number 16 on our agenda this morning is to approve the closing statement and authorize payment for and acceptance of a quitclaim deed at 901 East Boone Street. This is a discussion and possible action item. For those of you that don't know, the 901 East Boone Street is the portion of property that surrounds our county shop down on Boone that the city has graciously accepted selling to us. Paul, you want to speak to this a little bit? You've been working very hard with the city on this item.
This closing statement, it has the purchase price listed of $14,551.45. The statement also includes the reimbursement to the city for the cost of survey of the property to make the plats that we're using to purchase these two parcels that are adjacent to the 901 East Boone property. Also includes a recording fee of $20, and it's the city attorney's fees for establishment and transfer of the parcels of $292. So the total $18,363.45 is you kind of see the two little areas on the south side that is just a grassy area that really isn't doing anything for anybody, and we thought we could make use of it on our property and potential upgrades to the shop complex. Same with that area on the east side that you can see that kind of just is a little rectangle there. And we did keep the lines back from the road just to leave room for utility easements on both parcels. So we think it'll work well for us. By getting this done, we can relocate our fences and have more room for storage out there. Even before we proceed with any upgrades down there, we'll have better storage space, a better layout.
Okay. Now, I know when we first discussed this with the city that our agreement was there was going to be more areas that were surveyed than what the county was interested in, and we were only going to pay the portion of the survey that had to do with our items. Is that the way this worked out?
The only plat that I have any invoice on is the item, the two pieces that we are looking
Okay.
at, that we're requiring.
Then we're fine on
So
it.
this was right, this area right here and this area down here. Now, we did find out that I think this fence right here, we are actually encroaching a little bit beyond where we should have fence. So this one is being back a little bit on that far east one, just to leave the proper easement for their sewer line that goes right there.
Okay.
How far north did you go? Are you
It's
basically just bring that line?
yeah, basically just an extension of it. It's not, it actually even breaks a little bit more. So it kind of goes about like that, just to make sure that we maintain that drainage that can still go the way it.
Okay.
Because we don't own the floor on that.
Right.
All righty. Well, this will give us some more area for a possible future expansion. Something that does need to be continuously remembered in this possible expansion is we do have a fueling facility there. And if we ever do sell this property and or move this facility to another location, that's going to be a huge deal to work out. There's always things that crop up when you've got underground storage tanks and things on that order. So anything in the future as far as expansion here or moving this facility, that's something that really needs to be taken into consideration.
Our hopes in upgrading the facility would involve the entire upgrade of the shop complex would be done with the underground storage tanks and fueling remaining in service and not being relocated in that same project. And if we could do the relocation, rehabilitation of the underground storage tank fueling system in a separate year, that makes it a whole lot easier to cash flow the project. Without bonding and borrowing. We haven't even talked about that yet because we have not secured an architect yet.
And also, we need to point out that our fueling facility services more than just the county.
Correct. It services more public entities in this town than it doesn't. So.
Exactly. So it's not just us. It's a very
Yes.
convenient location for all the other entities that we work with.
The other issue here is that I just want to make sure the board's clear, because we had discussion, we're gonna get these two parcels by quitclaim deed. And that, we discussed that, but we also thought that just for our own peace of mind, I guess, for as far as knowing the property is clear, is that we would have a title search done, we would just request that done with the Marshall County abstract.
Okay.
So
I think that'd be a good idea.
we will do that before we put this payment on through a claim cycle. It's not on this claim cycle.
Okay.
To pay this.
All right. Anything else on this item, or I'll entertain motions on it?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve closing statement and authorize payment for the acceptance of a quick claim deed, 901 East Boone Street, $18,363.45, includes purchase price, survey, attorney fees, and transfer, authorized creation of abstract and or title opinion, authorized chair or vice chair to sign closing statement.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the closing statement and all associated items that goes with it. Any further comments, questions, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion carries. Item 17 on our agenda this morning is to approve buildings and grounds policy for the courthouse. This is a discussion and possible action. Nan, I know you and Lucas have been working on this. What do you got in mind?
Well, first of all, this isn't just courthouse.
I
So,
just noticed
yeah,
that too. I just
saw it
went,
too. I was like, wait a second. So this would be,
All our buildings and grounds everywhere.
this would be all of the buildings and grounds that my department is responsible for. We don't have a budget or responsibility for secondary roads buildings or county conservation. Conservation does that all in their deal, and Paul has his own budget for his building, which that's a whole other discussion. So essentially what we've tried to do here is the crux of the policy is we have basically two brand new remodeled buildings, and we want to keep them in the best shape and looking professional for a long time. So we've, a lot of it is don't put stuff on the walls unless, prior approval. If you want upgrades or paint or new carpet, there are, just make that request to the Buildings and Grounds Department. We are trying to standardize some different things, like don't leave your pop cans sitting at your desk. They create bugs, and we have bugs flying around, and then I have to, have exterminator come out in, off schedule. Yeah, it really, it addresses a lot of different things, but it's something that I've been thinking about for quite a while, and it's something that I think is really going to help my department maintain and keep our buildings long lasting into the future. In my mind, there's two main things I want to touch on here. There are, other buildings outside of basically the annex and the courthouse that this will affect a lot less. There's provisions in here that say don't, hang stuff on the walls. And that's fine until you get to the jail and there's already things all over the walls. I'm not going to come in and say, hey, you got to pull everything off your wall. So there's some grandfathered statuses in here, with some small caveats, but I'd take that up with the department heads in those buildings as well and address those on a case-by-case basis. Another thing that we're trying to do in here is, so in the courthouse and the annex, we have basically all new furniture. And I would like to keep that standardization in those buildings. So there's a provision that if you want or need new furniture, it needs prior approval. In the past, it's just been a free-for-all. Each department just bought whatever they wanted. And
Bought or stole.
Okay.
Borrowed.
Borrowed,
I'm
acquired.
not gonna touch those. Reallocate.
Or got from a garage sale.
Yeah, but I mean, just the idea that we can standardize things and keep that into the future, I think is a good thing for our facility. There's a lot of stuff in here. Go ahead, Steve.
I appreciate all the work you've done on this. I would like to, this is for possible action. I would like some more time to review the policy and the procedures. Could we hold off on making any kind of an action on this for another, maybe 2 weeks from now?
We can do that as long as you put a motion forward to table this item.
Since it's a possible action, is that necessary to actually table it?
That's kind of what we've been doing. That's something.
Let's just do it properly and please make a motion to table it.
I'll make a motion then.
If there's, I guess just a moment, I don't have a problem tabling this. It can wait 2 weeks. I'm okay with that. But if there's discussion to have, like initial discussion, if there's any concerns, I mean, we could address that, and now as well, but it doesn't matter that much to me.
It's not etched in stone then, is that what you're saying? We might be able to.
No, this is for your approval. This is the draft that basically myself and the HR department worked through, so. But if there was any specific, thing you wanted to address or even have a discussion on, we could do that today as well and still table it.
Well, why don't we go ahead and just vote on it then? I would make a motion then to approve buildings and grounds policy and authorize the chair or vice chair to sign.
That's.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the buildings and grounds policy and authorize the chair or the vice chair to sign. Are there any further comments, questions, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Slauson.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, moving on our agenda today is item number 18. This is approved personnel actions for the November 8th, 2022 general election. Nan, you want to cover this? And also keep in mind that these come out of the election portion of the budget.
They come out of the election portion of the budget. These, the hourly rates are all correct. The number of people is high. A lot of, for counting absentee ballots, we have to see how many we have. We're at, I think, about 800 requests right now. So, obviously 2 years ago when we have 12,000 of those, we needed a different number of people than if we have 4,000 of those. So we kind of adjust our needs to the number of folks. Same way with healthcare facilities, how many people we need going out there. But it kind of covers all the different pieces from absentee voting in the facility that we're sitting in right now, to going to the healthcare facilities, to the special precinct board. Most people forget that's counting absentee ballots. And also usually we use those folks the day after the election to enter all the write-ins and tally those. People seem a little tired after a 16-hour day, so we made that shift a few years back, and that's been a lot more successful, doing it the next day when people are a little fresher.
And just for continuity, we have authorized you more people than you probably have hired in the past.
And we always do
Based
it like
upon what
this.
you may need, so this
Mhm.
isn't the first time we've done. this.
No, number 6 and number 7 are our, what we call our permanent election staff. Carol Slifer has worked elections since I've been here, and Phyllis started right after I did. And those two are in house. They're usually more back of office. They balance. They do a lot of work here because we have to keep our office also open at the other facility. So trying to balance that, but every day they balance the number of ballots at the end of the day, or they're looking to see why we don't balance. They know exactly what's going on every day, the number of absentee coming in, et cetera, et cetera. They have a lot of responsibility.
Okay. Unless there's further discussion or questions on this, I'll entertain motions on this item, please.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the hires for the election workers as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the hires for the election individuals as presented. Any further comments, questions, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, moving right along. We have item number 19 that's previously tabled. Bill, do you choose to leave that tabled or pull it off the floor?
That's kind of up to more than just me.
Okay.
What I tried to do is put together the budgets of the towns and the budgets of the fire departments and what the legal levy cap is for them. And at this point, I can tell you individually, most are capped out. And so we need to have this, at least be cognizant of this. I think there were 2 towns that weren't, and possibly two fire departments that weren't capped out on their levy. But this represents a change in what we have done for since 1986 when 911 started. And I think it isn't going to stop with just what we are looking at here. I know there's a lot going on here, and we kind of learn as we go. Oh, that's got to be paid for, and oh, that's got to be paid for. And this will reflect the county's budget considerably if to continue this. And it's important that we look at the responsibility of the fire departments, the responsibility of the other towns within the township where the fire departments are, and their part of this also. At this point, it's been passed over to us to do. We need to spend perhaps some time on this. This is a whole change in business here, and
I would ask this be left tabled. I would like to be there personally to participate.
I agree with
in this
that.
discussion.
I think that would be prudent.
Are you down there for a month, Steve, or are you coming back originally?
No.
Oh, okay.
4 more days. 4 more days.
days.
Are you
Yeah.
singing tonight?
I'm not singing tonight. No.
Okay. We're just wondering.
Oh.
Okay, well, we have a request to leave this table, so I don't see where we need to take any further action on this. We'll move on to item number 20 then. This is public forum. This is a time set aside for the public to make comments on topics of county business other than those that were listed on this agenda. No action will be taken on any of these topics brought up in public forum. who has anything for the good of the order?
I know Nan does. Can I go first, Nan?
Mine's actually really quick.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, we
Number-
like brevity.
Number 15 on today's budget was the form. I didn't know exactly where it was, but if you pull up the county website and in the search box, you write outside agency, it comes right up. So if anybody's looking for that form, that's how you find it.
Perfect. Thank you, Sherry. That was wonderful getting
It
that
is-
on our website. And I'm assuming you worked with James on that also in IT.
No, she took care of herself.
All right, well, I was just giving you an attaboy. You kind of took a little beating today, so, we were trying to
It's-
soothe that over.
It's
just a
really
tad.
nice. It's a nice form.
There you go.
Good job, James.
All right.
I promise mine will be short. Just a FYI, be watching for invitation to the Board of Supervisors for an advisory committee that will be joining our EMS Association. It's just a requirement annually for our self-assessment to get our grant for EMS. Board of Supervisors, medical directors, 911 have to join that group. So didn't want you wondering if you needed to be there, because yes, someone would be appreciated at that once we get it. It'll probably be a November meeting.
Okay.
I'm getting ready to set that. So it'll be called the EMS Advisory Committee. And then the school assessments by order of the state are underway pretty heavily. I know Ben's been in on those and I have been. It's, and Marshalltown law enforcement will be. It's a requirement of emergency management and law enforcement to be in on them. There's a safety assessment. Just in case you have any questions on that, it's for a grant that the schools will be getting $50,000 per building. And then they're also working with the state on radios so that they're more consistent with their communications.
Okay. Sheriff, I know you and Ben came in a little bit late and didn't have an opportunity to make any comments on DeMorris Dean in his 20 years as of service. Don't want to miss an opportunity.
No, but with, Emo and I go back a long way, we both tested together, become the sheriff's office. And Emo is contemplating retirement in the coming years. It sounds like it may be for a while longer. He enjoys what he's doing, he enjoys the public contact, so his service to the Morris County Sheriff's Office has been great. So we've gone through these sometimes good years, sometimes bad years together. And his dedication to the sheriff's office is very well.
Well, I especially appreciate it when he does some fundraising in the high heels. You know, he's got the legs for it. The rest of us don't.
Would he want to take this?
Yeah.
Yes, well, yeah. We'll give you a certificate and we'll go from there. Anybody else have anything for the good of the order before we close out today?
First half property taxes due this Friday, so and hopefully it's a going away party to First Interstate Bank. It's hopefully our last tax collection season in there, so.
It'd be a wonderful thing.
Yes.
I
And
have
for people
some,
who don't want to stand in line, they can mail it. Right?
True. Yep, mail or online.
Go ahead.
I am Debbie Rubenbauer, property owner in Marshall County. And I have some comments and then some questions that I would like to address to the board. I noted in the 5-year plan that Dillon Road will be resurfaced and that East Main is going to be paved. I know that Dillon Road has more than 30 property owners and businesses that utilize that. The school board, East Marshall County School Board, has requested multiple times of the Board of Supervisors to pave Dillon Road so that there is hard surface all the way to the Ferguson Blacktop to provide that during inclement weather for our safety of our children. And also when 146 was closed, I don't know this for sure, but I was under the impression that the state would be providing monies to again, resurface and pave Dillon Road due to the damage or due to the use of Dillon Road during the time 146 was closed for the overpass that was built. And East Main Street has, my understanding is one residence that people are living on, and it would not abut to another paved surface. It abuts to gravel. And I could be wrong. I haven't researched it very thoroughly, but those are my concerns. So my questions are, how did the board come up to the decision to pave East Main Street? And when will it be a possibility that Dillon Road will be paved all the way to the Ferguson Blacktop?
Okay. Keep in mind, this is for public comment and no decisions can be made.
Yes.
I can tell you that the board is presented with a program of work from the county engineer that programs his thoughts into a 5-year program. If he doesn't get them in that program, they can't be acted upon. That doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to be completed within that 5-year period of time, but they are in his program of work. Everything has to come up with funding. I think it would be more appropriate for maybe the county engineer to give you a call and go over this, unless Paul, you can hit it real quick right now.
I can share how it was selected. The 1 mile of East Main is our singular highest traveled portion of Rock Road in Marshall County. And it costs more to maintain as a rock surface than it would to actually upgrade it to hard surface. Because of the rock that it takes to keep that thing open, it gets a lot of truck traffic, thanks to a quarry that's just over in the Tama County. Dillon Road does get quite a bit of traffic, and I still scratch my head on why they didn't take it all the way down to E63. But it wasn't, the grade, I think, may require some improvement. That was the other reason we were able to select that mile in East Main, because the grade is essentially pavable as it lays right now. So that's my decision process.
I don't know if that's totally given you your answers. We can have the county engineer call you if you'd like.
I did call and speak with someone at the county engineer's office, and they felt that it was the board's decision. So maybe there is someone that could give me a call from the county engineer's office that could explain that to me. I would appreciate that.
We'll let Paul Geilenfeld, our county engineer, give you a call.
Do we know her number?
Do you mind giving us your number in a public setting?
Or
would
if you could stick around until we wrap the meeting, we could just keep her online.
Or if
Yeah.
you don't want to give out that number in public, you can call into the county engineer's office and ask for Paul Geilenfeld, who is the county engineer.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay. Anything else?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else have anything for the good of the order?
I've got a little situation with a, not little, a loader that we are looking at upgrading, and we weren't going to schedule it quite as quickly as we are going to have to proceed with it, but I've got, with this supply chain that we're dealing with right now, we got a quote on rebuilding this loader, and it is nearly what a new loader costs, and I don't want to do that. The issue is that we only have approximately 130,000, not already obligated in our equipment budget. And so I will be presenting a purchase to the board probably on the next meeting. And we'll kind of have a couple different ways we can go. We can overrun the equipment budget, and I do have a sizable ending fund balance right now that we could just say, I'm going to have to amend my equipment budget because we can get this machine. The one that we are looking at is actually on the ground. It's something that that our vendor knows they're going to have it. The competitor who has a slightly lower bid won't tell us when we could ever get this machine.
Okay.
They won't give us it. So anyway, we can either pay the amount that we have left in our equipment budget, or we can, and then pay the remainder of the balance on, shortly after July 1st. And there would be some finance charges in there. They're great that they've quoted me happens to be less than inflation right now, so it really isn't costing us anything. But the other option would be to go ahead and overrun equipment, amend budget.
Let's get that on our next agenda because we can't make any
Correct.
Decisions here.
I just
That would be
put
fine.
that in your.
But just for point of thought, we've gone through our audit with Bowman and Miller. And we've got very good reports on our ending fund balances and no discrepancies. One of the things we've worked hard with over the years is to get the ending fund balances up in your area. I remember a couple of years, they've been as low as 12 to 15%, and we're far above that now. So you do have a little wiggle room. I would caution you not to go too far below where we're at, but let's, yeah.
Remember last time too.
Yes, we're farther above.
Yep. So.
And we'll go from there, but we do have very good ending fund balances across the board in all our departments. Anything else for the good of the order? Going once, going twice. That being said, we'll go on to item number 21 in our agenda today, which is adjournment. The next regular session is October 11th, 2022 at 9:05 a.m. All business to be acted upon at that session should be submitted to the County Auditor Recorder's Office or the Board of Supervisors Office by Wednesday, October 5th, 2022 at 12 p.m. There being no further business to come before the board, this meeting is adjourned at 10:43 a.m. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.